Hello there, Lara Croft speaking, and I'm here to review the Uncharted games. So I thought, as another colleague, that I should review Nathan Drake's work and even the spin-off where some of the girls try to take charge. I played all the Uncharted games in a row, as I said for the ones who saw my journey review. I played all the games and I used Journey to have a little break between the games. I thought about reviewing each game individually, but I thought that it would be a too much short review because you don't have a lot to say, and I think it's more interesting to look at the 5 games, so the 4 main games plus the spin-off, as one huge adventure. So speaking about the 4 main games, so you follow Nathan Drake's adventure. The first time you see him in Uncharted 1, he is looking for El Dorado. It was a game that had an interesting twist at the end because you have all these archaeology part, the investigation, and then suddenly it's not an object, it's a cursed object, and it has real consequences, and you see zombies, and it was really interesting because at the end you have some kind of horror part. I actually took too much time on that first Uncharted because I was really stuck at the end part, fighting against the enemies and fighting against the somewhat zombies. So it was a really hard shooting part, and it kind of made me lose a little bit of the interest because I knew I was at the end and there was all that stuff, so it was it was really difficult. In Uncharted 2, you continue to follow the footsteps of Nathan Drake, and he's now separated from Elena. I must say that one of the most confusing things throughout the games was Nathan's and Elena's relationship, because at the end of 1 they are doing that flirting, and then on 2 they are separated, but then at the middle of the journey they come together again, and even at the end of 2 you see Nathan saying that he loves her, that she's really important to him, but then again on 3 he's again separated from her, so I never understood what happens between the games. 2 for me was a little bit weird to get into. It was interesting to see the game starting at the middle point and then you playing what happened before. I felt like Nathan's model was a little bit weird at the beginning of 2, I don't know how to quite explain it. And then when they change to 3, again, I felt like the model was, because it was now updated in 3. Was in 3 that it was updated? I think so. And if it was not in 3, it was in 4, and I think it was in 4. I once again felt the huge change in models, both for Nathan and Elena. I didn't like the change. I got used to it, and if I look now, I like it, but for me it was a really huge difference. In 3, I thought it was really interesting because you have a peek at Nathan's past with Sully, so I felt like 3 is really this romance story between Sully. Not romance, they have more kind of like a parent-child relationship, so it's really interesting. At that time Nathan already knew the climbing and all that stuff and was already trying to steal things, but Sully was like, he encountered him and then began his instruction. And also you have all that plot about this society, like some kind of Illuminati, where they are looking for the secret that Francis Drake found for Queen Elizabeth, and you have all this plot about something that is in the water that makes people have hallucinations. So it was really interesting, the hallucination part. It was really difficult to fight at the last bit where Nathan is under the influence of those hallucinations. It was really wobbly and I got stuck for quite a while on that part. It was a really difficult shooting part, but it was really interesting. And then on 4 you have what I call the big conclusion, because now you know that Nathan has a brother, Sam. I must say, I really like Sam and I like the way they built the story, because you feel like he is well put in the story that they have told so far, but at the same time you also feel like that they just thought, hey, Nathan could have a brother, and put him there, because it's not that it harms the story so far, but after having a game where you see Nathan's development with Sully, and you feel like he was in the orphanage, and then while he escaped, he was found by Sully. Then you have all this plot with Sam and they escaping from the orphanage once in a while and having their own adventures, and I'm kind of confused at which point did Nathan met Sully, but then again, Sam, for what you can gather, Sam also knows Sully, so I don't know when that happened also. But then again, I like Sam's character. I really enjoyed Nathan's adventure. I was, although the games aren't about romance, I was really worried about Nathan's and Elena's relationship, because Nathan has already decided to retire from these adventures, and Elena, she was lied to the entire time. I think the main problem is that Nathan decided that, oh, it's much easier lying to Elena than telling her the truth and make her understand why I have to do this. But at the same time, even if he did tell the truth, he's also at fault, because he's not doing that entirely for Sam, he's also doing it for him because he misses the adventure. And I think that was a nice conclusion, because both of them reach the conclusion that they miss the adventure. And Elena does a really nice step of not doing these illegal adventures of finding ancient treasures, but something more on the legal part, and they can continue to have their adventurous life. And of course you have the epilogue where you meet their daughter, and it was a really nice closing of the story. There are rumors that there will be an Uncharted 5, or I don't know if it's Uncharted 5 or if it's another spin-off, like The Lost Legacy, but they will have to, I don't know, make an adventure with Sam, because Nathan is supposed to be retired, be enjoying a married life, a life as a father, and I don't know, I don't feel the need to have another Uncharted. For Lost Legacy, I really enjoyed watching the development of Nadine and Chloe, because it was really interesting to see Nadine outside the villain role, although I don't really like her character either way. And Chloe, Chloe is one of those characters that I really enjoyed the change of model, because I think she's much prettier in the recent version, the updated graphics, than in the old ones. And it was a short adventure. I enjoyed the mechanic of having an open map and being able to explore. I did the side quest where I went through all the temples and got the Queen's Bracelet, which was really useful for finding treasures, although I didn't find all of them. And it was quite a nice adventure, a short one, but a nice adventure. And if I had to do a top of Uncharted games, I think for me Lost Legacy would come first for one specific reason. Because the shooting is really secondary. So I like the Uncharted games, but sometimes I feel like the shooting is too much in all of them. 3 and 4 maybe were the ones I don't have much to complain, but Lost Legacy for me has the right amount of climbing, driving, shooting, and I really enjoyed the story. And really, Lost Legacy is for me the kind of game I expected Uncharted to be, because I feel most of the time they have too much shooting. Then for me next it would be Uncharted 4, because Uncharted 4 is really interesting. They give you a really good outlook on Nathan's life, and the adventure is interesting. I really enjoyed it. Next would be Uncharted 3, because I really liked to see the development of Sully and Nathan's relationship. And finally 2 and 1. So it's like going... I think 4 and 3 are somewhat on the same step, but 4 is really a good conclusion to Nathan's story. So I would really do Lost Legacy, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1 is the least enjoyable to me. It was a nice first adventure, but I think from all of them it's the one I will put at the end of the list. And I really enjoyed. They tried to introduce new mechanics from game to game. I enjoyed the mechanics. I don't really like driving, but it was interesting to have a larger map and to cover that field in the car. I didn't really enjoy having to jump from vehicle to vehicle when I was shooting, so it's not something that I really like. I don't like when they have these tanks and you have to use RPGs, and RPGs are nowhere to be found because they are in a single place. But other than that, it's the Uncharted games. I really recommend them, all of them, because they are wonderful adventures. You have access to Nathan's story. You can see him getting older and evolving along the stories. Once again, I don't really understand how his relationship with Elena evolves, because sometimes it's it's a bit confusing, but amazing adventures. And as a fan of Tomb Raider, as you can see, I must say that the Uncharted's are somewhat similar, but they are a different adventure on their own, and they are really good games. So tell me what you think about these games. Tell me what is your favorite. If you would do a top of the games, which one would be first, which one would be last? Tell me in the comments, and see you next time.